Okay, today we're working on function rule, so we're going to be looking at tables and scenarios and trying to write equations for those. So if I'm going to ask you to look for a pattern in a table, when I want you to write a function rule from a table, you want to ask yourself, what do I have to do to x to get y? And you're going to be looking for some sort of relationship here. I want you to try both of these tables on your own and don't look at my answer until you're done with your guess. So you're going to try to write a function rule for each table. So table A, when x is 2, f of x is 8. When x is 4, f of x is 10. When x is 6, f of x is 12. And when x is 8, f of x is 14. So I'm going to look for a pattern. So usually I just kind of look one at a time, and I look, okay, here's 2 to 8. And I think like, well, 2 times 4 is 8, so maybe this is 4 times x is f of x. But if I look at this one, 4 times 4 is 16, not 10, so that rule doesn't work every time, so I'm going to rethink. I might say, well, 2 plus 6 is 8. 4 plus 6, that's also 10. 6 plus 6 is also 12, and 8 plus 6 is 14. So it looks like every time f of x equals x plus 6. 6 more than x, and that worked every time, okay? Again, please try this next one on your own. This one's kind of tricky. I want to see if you can come up with a relationship here. Okay, so again, if you're just starting to ask yourself, how do I get from x to y? And it's like x is 1, y is 2, so it may be double, but 2 times 2 is not 5, it's 4, so doubling's not working. Adding 1 doesn't work either. Not subtracting or dividing, so this one might be a little bit more complicated. Well, if I'm looking, this was like 1 more than 4. This is 1 more than 1. And 10 is 1 more than 9. 17 is 1 more than 16. And I know something special about these numbers, 1, 4, 9, and 16. They're the square numbers of the one before it. It seems like it's always 1 more than that square. So I think in this case, y equals x squared plus 1. And if you got that on your own, give a smiley face to your notes. And there's certain tricks that I know. Like I know if this is going up in an order like 1, 2, 3, 4, this goes up by 3, and then by 5, and then by 7. That actually gives me a clue when it's going up by like consecutive odd numbers or consecutive even numbers or just not the same number every time. It is going to be some quadratic pattern. It's going to have an x squared in it. You can see that this one, it goes up by 2 every time. This also goes up by 2 every time. This is going to be a linear relationship, a straight line. It's going to have this form, no square, just a variable plus a number. Okay, real world problem solving. Let's try to solve a problem. So here's the journalism class. They make $25 per page of advertising in the yearbook. If the class sells P pages of advertising, how much money will it earn? So I'm going to write a function rule for this. You guys have done a good job with this so far. So I'm going to say P is the pages. You try to do this on your own too, please. I'm going to call M of P the money earned. And since they're earning $25 per page, I think that the money earned should equal 25 times the pages that they sell. Okay? So then the class sold 6 pages of advertising. How much money did it make? So we're going to do M of 6. We're just going to do 25 times 6 here and find out that they made $150. Okay, and that's just how much they took in. It might not be profit. All right, the choir spent $100 producing audio tapes of its last performance, and it will sell the tapes for $5.50 each. So this has a little added because they had to spend $100 to make this. So write a rule to describe the choir's profit as a function of the number of tapes sold, or you can think of that as CDs or MP3s or something, because I know that we don't really have tapes anymore. So if I'm going to write a rule, I'm going to think, what are my 2 variables? In this case, it is going to be profit and tapes. So I'm going to call tapes T, and I'm going to call profit P of T, profit. Okay, and I know that they're making $5.50 per tape, but they also had this $100 expense. So I think that the profit, P of t, is going to be the $5.50 times t, but I'm going to have to subtract 100 for that initial fee. So now, if the choir sold 50 tapes, how much money did it make? I'm going to put in 50 for t, so P of t equals 5.5 times 50 minus 100, and I'm just going to solve this equation. So 5.5 times 50, that's 275, minus 100 is 175, so they made $175 here. Okay. This one says if the choir made $296 profit, how many tapes did they sell? So again, I'm going to go up to my original equation here, and my equation here, not that one, but this one actually. P of t equals 5.5t minus 100. This time I know P of t, I know my profit. So 296 equals 5.5t minus 100. And I'm going to solve this equation by adding 100 to both sides. And I get 396 equals 5.5t. So now go ahead and divide both sides by 5.5. And I should get that 72 equals t. And again, I'm going to answer this in words. They sold 72 tapes. Okay. What I want you to be thinking about are, can you come up with some tips and tricks to share with the class? And I've got some great ones. I'm hoping you have some good ones too. So what I want you to think about, do you have any tips or any tricks that you come up with for writing a function rule? Try to come up with at least one that you're willing to share with the class. And so instead of share your best tip with your partner, you'll share it with the class on our next class day. Okay, so linear, that means it's a straight line. Quadratic, that means it would be a u. It would have some sort of x squared in it. And do you have any ways that you look for patterns in y or look for patterns with x? I want to know everything that you come up with. Do you try adding, multiplying, dividing, subtracting, squaring, a combination of the above? Do you have some rules that help you know which type it is? Try to come up with some good tips so we can share them together and we can all get better at writing function rules. All right, a good short lesson today. I will see you in class.